for sure. And at the surrender at the Apoxim Tops thing, if so at the surrender at the Apoxim Tops is the ending of the war, where Robert Lee just gave up over there and had to sign like this treaty. So here's a question for you. If the Confederate won the Civil War, how would America be right now? I'll leave that up to you. But in my opinion, we'd be probably in a poor country. We'll have Lincoln would be assassinated. I believe there won't be any women's suffrage. We'll have different amendments and different laws and regulation, different foreign affairs, and much more will happen. Yeah. So I'm talking about the Civil War, which is caused by several factors, such as the election of Abraham Lincoln, the abolition movement, the Underground Railroad, and much more. So the first major battle in the Civil War was the first battle of Bull Run. So basically, it was fought in Virginia's soils, and after that war, the Confederates won, and this made Lincoln realize that it will be a long and costly war. So as each of the battles keep on going and going, mostly the key main battles of the Civil War are usually won by Unions. And without the fall of Atlanta, we'd be basically at a big disadvantage against the South. Because without Sherman taking over Atlanta, we would have the Sherman March to Sea and other things. So, this will also lead to,
Prohibition also introduced a whole new culture to America where women had a more equal role to men. And I'm just saying that very loosely because they're still considered less than men at the time. They could now drink in bars with men, legal bars, called the speakeasies, which were stocked by rum runners, moonshiners, and mobsters, who are still around today somehow. I don't know why. Like, that just defined America at the time and made America pioneers to the rest of the world, because no other country had ever tried to ban alcohol, ever. Like, it was just a crazy idea, and obviously it didn't work. Yeah, it really changed America. I personally think if we didn't have prohibition, women's rights would have come along a lot later, because prohibition brought together all those groups, those activists and suffragists. And yeah, so I'm going to do prohibition in my presentation. Prohibition was an era in American history from 1919 to 1933 where alcohol, the production and the trade was illegal, but the consumption itself was still somehow legal. Crazy as that is. The fight for prohibition actually started in the 1830s by women's rights groups who later became the suffragists and the feminists we see today. It was also brought by religious groups who deemed alcohol and saloon culture as heathen activities. A lot of those religious groups are around today still. They're known as evangelical Protestants. They're the biggest fighters against alcohol.
1 minute.
I don't know if they're still around. Can you pause it?
No.
Holy crap, okay.
It's Luke, and I'm doing the Wright brothers. Now, the Wright brothers weren't the first to fly, but they made the first heavier-than-air aircraft. What I mean by heavier-than-air is this plane can produce its own thrust and power to fly. Like the gliders, they use air, and the hot air balloons, they use heat. Unlike them, they had a 12 horsepower, 4-cylinder engine that made the flyer fly at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1903. And the Wright brothers, they were not funded at all. They weren't even aeronautical engineers. They were just bicyclist mechanics. They just did this for a hobby, for a passion. And after he closed up shop, they just went down to the garage and started making the Wright Flyer. And after they got enough money from the business, they actually made the Flyer. And it turned out to change history. What I mean by changing history, planes in particular have a great way to change history because everyone in the world wanted to fly. And I think it really changes warfare a lot because air security is like a #1 thing, especially nowadays, because if you own the air, you win the battle. And that they realized that after World War II, when he bombed and dogfights and everything. So the Air Force right now is the most funded out of all the other branches because it's just really important to own the skies. And also, not only that, it also changed how we travel, how we transport things. And like instead of going all the way to the mainland on a boat for like weeks, we get to go there in hours even, and comfortably and safely. And also, if we didn't have the Wright brothers, I believe we would still fly, but I don't think as advanced as now. I believe that some other genius, some other guy who also loved to fly would be able to find out how to get up there, but then probably later than the Wright brothers, but then not as advanced like all these expensive planes that we made over the past few years that comes out of our pocket. But I mean, so my moves.
So my topic was Pearl Harbor, and that's a big topic here because it hits home. But basically, Pearl Harbor was a surprise attack from the Japanese, and they attacked Pearl Harbor, Oahu. So the Japanese Empire was looking to expand their territory, and they saw Hawaii as like a really good naval base, and they wanted to control most of the Pacific, but because there's a big naval base already there, they saw our ships as something in the way. So in September 1940, the U.S. placed an embargo on Japan, which prohibited Japan from getting all like crucial goods such as steel, scrap iron, fuel, and oil. And the Japanese saw this as a threat to their nation's survival. So they created this plan to attack Pearl Harbor, and it was in the work for like months and months. And on December 4th, a message is actually sent to America, but it got intercepted. So they had no knowledge that anyone was going to attack anything. And then on December 7th, 1941, in the morning, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor at around 8 a.m. And they a Japanese bomber led 360 warplanes, and they attacked Pearl Harbor, and they sunk the USS Arizona immediately because it was hit so much. And then the battleship Row, which is all these battleships, were all attacked. And at the end of this 110-minute battle, almost all the ships were sunk, destroyed, or severely damaged. And this was a big thing because it led the U.S. into World War II. And if this didn't happen, I still think we would have gone into World War II, but we would have declared war in the U.S. We declared war in Japan instead.
Hi, I'm Mandy, and I did mine on the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence pretty much makes America. Like that's what impacted us. Anyway, a brief history of the Declaration of Independence was John Adams is the leader pushing for the Declaration, and they asked the committee if Thomas Jefferson would be able to be the one who drafted the Declaration of Independence because of his intelligence. And after he drafted the Declaration, the committee would go and review the Declaration and finalize everything. But on July 4th, when they published and printed all of the booklets to pass out to the general public, there was an outrage, and everyone went in different cities. They took down statues and anything to do with royal authority out of the way because they didn't like what King George had to do. But all of the 56 signers stayed except one person. I forget his first name, but his last name was Rand. And the reason why he took it off was because he was punished and tortured, and so he went. And when he came out of jail from the British authority after they took him out of jail, he took off his signature on the Declaration of Independence and then declared himself to like a true leader to King George III. And the Declaration of Independence pretty much is the foundation of us having the belief of all men are created equal and that we have rights. And another, although that all the delegates had special authority, I believe that one that was really amazing to me was William Whipple. He freed all of his slaves because he believed that you can't have all men are created equal if you own slaves, and thanks to him doing this, we also had certain states that were slave-free.
What is your theory if we didn't have the Declarations of Independence?
We wouldn't be American, we would still be under British rule.
Okay.